Okay, test. Okay, microphone working.
Am I too early?
Okay, welcome everyone. Be getting started in should be less than 10 minutes. We'll get started. About 5 minutes. Okay, welcome everyone. Just joining in. We'll get started in about about another 5 minutes. And in the meantime, for anyone who's here already, you just start to get settled, finding our position of our bodies. So welcome into everyone joining. Mickey, Nicole, Valkyrie, Zignus, Sav, Nico, McDonald's. Welcome to everyone joining. And here in the Zoom, we have a couple people joining as well. Bach, Badar Hussein, Helena, welcome in. We'll get started soon. And we also have a few people watching on the YouTube live. So quite a few people coming from different spaces, checking out the event. And just to make sure that everyone has time to settle in and to join, everyone who's interested, we'll wait about another 5 minutes or another 7 minutes or so. And we'll get started at 10 minutes after the hour. All right, welcome to Aaron and Shone, welcome. For anyone who's new to meditation, just settle in. Everything will be explanatory. So welcome to everyone here who's here already. Hopefully we can practice some patience as we give some other people time to join as well. We'll get started in just a minute. To practice meditation, it takes patience. So being patient for just a moment before we get started. Okay. So welcome everyone to this beginner's class, this event on meditation. I am your host, your guide for this meditation, Bhante Varapañños. Just a little bit about myself. I am a Buddhist monk, originally from America. I moved to Thailand 2 years ago. Actually, 2 years ago yesterday was my 2-year anniversary as a monk. And I am 27 years old. So I've been a Buddhist monk for 2 years, and I've been a meditator and a Buddhist for about 7 years now. And for me, I try to approach meditation from a very secular point of view, not necessarily very religious. But it's something that has brought so much peace and maturation and benefit into my life. So one of the things that I really love to do, really enjoy doing, is sharing those experiences, those benefits that I've gotten from meditation practice. So this event today is very geared towards beginners, maybe people who haven't necessarily practiced meditation before. And so if you're new to meditation, what it really takes most of all is a sincere interest, a willingness to try it out, to put forth some effort into the practice. I oftentimes compare meditation to going for a jog, especially when you're a beginning meditator or a beginning jogger. It's not really important that you have special shoes or special clothes. The most difficult part is stepping out the door and beginning to practice, beginning to jog. And then over time, if we invest in jogging, who knows, we may find ourselves running a marathon sometime in the not too distant future. So firstly, as we begin to practice meditation, we want to notice the position of our bodies. So are we sitting? Are we laying? Are we standing? Whatever the position of our bodies happen to be right now, kind of relaxing and focusing in on the body at this moment, really feeling the body. And as we feel the body, we can begin to take a few deep breaths in through our nose. Really following the breath, and then out through our mouth. And as we do this, we can make the mouth like a straw, like there's a straw there. So we're pursing our lips a little bit, and we're exhaling all of the oxygen out of our lungs. So breathing in deeply through the nose. Really getting all that oxygen out. We can do that 2 or 3 times at our own pace, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And we can allow our breath to return to its natural rhythm, whatever that is. And then with our body, with our hands, we can kind of shake out a little bit, shaking our hands and our arms, shaking out any tension, any stress, any sleepiness, just shaking out, giving ourselves a wiggle. Try not to knock over your incense when you're doing that. But just wiggling out for a few moments, loosening up, coming into the body, coming into the present moment. And then we can allow our arms to settle, allow our attention to settle on the breath. Also having an awareness of the body. And in beginning our meditation, we're going to work with body scanning or body awareness practice. So as we breathe, as we are aware of the breath, beginning to notice any sensations or feelings that are coming up in the body. So just breathing naturally, a little bit of focus on the breath or emphasizing the breath. And noticing any sensations or feelings that are coming up in our bodily awareness. Anything that we are noticing in our body. So following the breath and just noticing any sensations or feelings that come up in the body. Maybe there's some tension or tightness that's coming up. Maybe there's a kind of numbness. Maybe we don't even feel the body or notice the body as we're breathing. So whatever it is that we notice about the body, with our attention and with our focus, rather than thinking, just coming back to this bodily experience and noticing any pains, sensations, tightness, clenching, tension. What do we notice about having a body at this moment? What stands out to us? As we are following the breath, so as we breathe with each breath, we are bringing the mind, the wandering mind, home to the body. And as we breathe, continuing to notice any sensations, what's sticking out to us about having a body at this moment? Anything in particular? And whatever we notice, acknowledging it, even if it's a painful feeling or a pleasurable feeling, not making a judgment on it, not chasing after it, or trying to run away from it, running away from the bodily experience, or running towards some pleasurable experience in the body. Just noticing whatever sensations are coming up into our awareness, our attention. As we breathe, focusing on the breath. A big part of meditation is turning our attention inward. Usually we are in the habit of always running towards or moving towards some pleasurable experience, some kind of excitement, some kind of idea that we have. Or we're trying to avoid some kind of unpleasant experience, some kind of negativity. Or we may be feeling a neutral experience. It's not pleasant, it's not unpleasant. It's just kind of what we would call boring. And so once again, we're chasing after some kind of excitement, some kind of pleasure. But in meditation, we're developing this willingness to just breathe, to simply be present with the body and with the breath, moment to moment. It's not so much about having a special experience, having an empty mind, or feeling the body dissolve. It's more about moment after moment, breath after breath, deciding to come back to the body, to the breath, to the present moment, rather than chasing after certain kinds of experiences or certain kinds of ideas. Following the breath as it comes into the body, following the breath as it leaves the body. It takes a certain kind of person to become a meditator, to practice meditation. Just like it takes a certain kind of person to become a jogger, to become a runner. It's quite uncommon, it's quite rare for people to become joggers, to become runners, to do that activity. In the same way, it's quite rare for people to become meditators. So it takes some degree of effort, some degree of interest that we have personally, this willingness to invest in spirituality, in the meditative path, this sense of curiosity and exploration about our mind, our lives, our bodies. Without that sense of curiosity, of willingness to invest in something that we aren't necessarily good at, don't necessarily have a background with, it takes a certain kind of person to do that. And so when we practice meditation, we can start off by noticing the body, doing a few deep breaths, breathing exercises, maybe stretching a little bit, moving a little bit, shaking the body a little bit, and beginning to turn our attention inward towards the body, noticing any sensations, feelings, experiences that are coming up, that are a part of our bodily experience. All the while also turning towards the breath, just breathing, And as we breathe, we are bringing the mind, this wandering mind, chasing mind, always wandering around, jumping around to one thing to another constantly. As we breathe and as we focus on breathing, we're bringing the mind home to the body. And in that, we are establishing ourselves in the here and the now, establishing ourselves in the present moment. So in doing meditation in this way, to really practice the method of meditation, it's very important that we have a sense of calm, a sense of turning inward towards the body, towards the breath. This interest, right? This determination that we would like to practice meditation, that we have an interest in it. And if we find that we do, and we're able to come into conditions, to come into a situation where we have the ability to turn our attention inward, then we can bring up a method of meditation, a methodology of meditating. And one of the foundational practices of meditation is mindfulness of breathing. Following the breath as it comes in through the nose, feeling the physicality of the breath, focusing on the breath as it comes in through the nose, the sensations, the feelings of the breath coming in, going down through the neck, the throat, filling up the lungs, or we may also feel the breath in the rising and falling of the stomach. We can also focus on the breath in this place, the stomach rising, the stomach falling, as we breathe in and breathe out. And over time, we may develop a more general sense of I am breathing. I am breathing in, and I am breathing out. Whatever we're able to focus on as this object of meditation for us, we just do it. We just breathe. We focus on that spot under the nose. We focus on the feeling of the stomach rising and falling. And as we do this, we will certainly notice that the mind is jumping around. We begin to have all kinds of thoughts, stories, ideas. We begin to get lost in thought, lost in the sauce, as some people may say. And so when we notice, when we become aware that we are lost in thinking, when we become aware that we're falling asleep, or we become aware that we're very tight, we're very tense, we go back to the breath, very gently, very naturally, returning back to the breath. And so meditation in this way is a process. Step by step, breath by breath, we are turning inward. We are establishing ourselves in the here and the now, and recognizing what is happening within and without us, internally and externally. So we can take just a couple minutes to practice meditation together in this way. To experiment, to try out following the breath. And it's not going to be perfect. We're not trying to have an empty mind here. We're not trying to become enlightened spontaneously. We're just breathing. We're just focusing on the breath. Simple as that. And when we notice that the mind is jumping around, wandering around, we come back to the breath. We're noticing the mind, bringing this sense of curiosity, of exploration in our physical experience that we're having moment to moment. So we will practice meditation in this way for only 5 minutes. So this is a reasonable amount of time if you're interested in meditation to try out this practice. And you may find that you're distracted and lost in thought for this entire 5 minutes. But I encourage you to give it a try, just to focus on your breathing, to be with your body. You can even lay down during this, just for these 5 minutes. And afterwards, we will open up this event for question and answer. So anyone who has a question, either in the YouTube chat, in the Zoom meeting, or in the Discord call that we're having, that this event is for, this beginner's meditation introduction, can ask questions, and we'll have a bit of a dialogue that way. But first, let's try out this practice of meditation together, simply focusing on the breath, and we'll begin and end this practice of meditation with the sound of the bell. And as we hear the sound of the bell, allowing it to invite us into meditation, taking this sound as an invitation to be present, to listen, to be aware. So just like your first time going for a jog, when you begin to practice meditation, it's going to be a little bit difficult. The mind is going to be jumping around, moving around. But when we can begin to do this practice, to step into the practice of a contemplative life, turning our attention inward towards the body, towards the breath, there can be a lot of healing and a lot of wisdom, insight into how our mind works, into how our body works. So day by day, week by week, we can consider to bring this contemplative practice into our lives. And for some of us, it may not necessarily be meditation. It may be yoga. It may be a kind of stretching. It may be jogging. It may even be study, looking into spiritual ideas or meditation ideas, maybe Buddhism. But it's this quality of mindfulness, of awareness, of presence that allows all of these activities to really be rewarding. And in meditation, we're focusing on that essence, that awareness itself, mindfulness itself. So thank you everyone for participating in the short introduction to meditation. And I hope that it was in some way informative. And now on to the fun part, I guess some people would say, which is questions. So we'll move into a question and answer period. So if you're in the Discord, you can write your questions in the Monique Q&A. I'm not sure who Monique is, but you can ask those questions to me in that channel. And if you're watching on the YouTube, you're also welcome to ask questions through the live chat. And finally, some of the people joining here on Zoom, you're also welcome to ask questions. And we'll just take it one by one, okay? Okay, so the first question coming here. Why did you want to become a monk from Rio? So for me, becoming a monk was something a long time in process. I went from a very difficult experience in my life after high school of being very vulnerable, having a lot of suffering, a lot of confusion, and not really knowing how to deal with my mind, not knowing how to take care of myself. And what I found was that through meditation, and in my case, Buddhism, I was really able to learn how to understand myself and different ways of living, different ways of being. So a few years later, after living at a Buddhist temple in 2014, in 2015, I kind of reached the top of material success. I had a wonderful job, wonderful living situation, a lot of wonderful, pleasurable experiences when I was living in America. This is about 3 years ago now. But I found that there was this lack of fulfillment, spiritual fulfillment, and that many of the activities that I was doing were to kind of bring pleasure to myself, but I didn't want pleasure. I wanted peace. And so at that point, I started transitioning into the life of renunciation, the life of devotion, which is the life of a monk. And after doing that on my own for some time, I eventually realized that I really needed support to do that well. And so I flew to Thailand, flew to a Buddhist country, and didn't really know what to expect. And 2 years later, here I am, now in Myanmar, 2 years as a monk, and I'm very thankful to be in the position that I'm in. Okay, so thank you for your question, Rio. That was lovely question, and I'll try to get to everyone's questions and just be patient as we go through them. Okay, and we'll go one at a time and stick around, and I'll try to answer everyone's questions. Another person here asking, this is Quentin asking, why does a monk wear the robe? So in the time of the Buddha, it's said that when the Buddha left home, left this luxurious life, the life of a prince, Siddhartha, Gautama Siddhartha, he shaved his head and put on the robe, the saffron robe. So we do the same thing, to let go of our material life, to let go of our past life, the life of luxury, the life of pleasures. And so this robe represents to go forth into a spiritual life, a life of ethics, morality, and devotion to meditation and contemplative practices, trying to understand what is the nature of mind, what is the nature of reality. And the robe performs many functions. It protects our body from the strong sun, it protects our body from bugs, mosquitoes, and it allows us to live separately from the rest of society as monks, people who are solely devoted to the spiritual life. A question from Valkyrie, who's asking, how can I bring aspects of meditation into daily activities? This is a wonderful question, Valkyrie. And one of the best ways that we can do this is that every now and again throughout our day, we can take a deep, mindful, conscious breath, really just pausing. We're waiting in line at the grocery store, or we're waking up, or we're getting out of the shower, or we're about to have a lot of fun, or we're about to go into a difficult situation, or we're in a difficult situation. Whatever it is, we can take a pause. And just breathe. Just take a deep breath. It might be 2, it might be 3, it might be 4 or 5 breaths. I don't know if you could hear that, but that was the chirping of a lizard. I hope you all could hear that. But so that lizard was also taking a breath. And this can be a really rewarding practice. And it's basically what we do in meditation. We just take this conscious, mindful, attentive breath. And as we do that, we gather our attention. We gather our lives to come into this present. And we bring the mind to the body. We bring the mind and the body together, and we establish ourselves in the here and the now and in peace. So this mindful breathing is an activity that we can do at any point of the day. And it's a way to bring meditation into our normal everyday lives, into the normal activities of our lives. Okay. So we have a question here from the Callan PVP. Callan is asking, do you always have to sit in that position, or can you sit in whatever position is comfortable for you? So people have been practicing meditation for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So there are certain positions, there are certain postures that are conducive to meditation. And actually, just a little bit of a self-promotion here, the next video that's coming out on my YouTube channel is going to be focusing on posture, talking about posture. So if you want to like and subscribe, you're very welcome to do so on my YouTube channel, and the upcoming video may be really helpful. Should be today or tomorrow that comes out. But so there's certain postures that are conducive to meditation in that they give us a very stable position. So the way that I'm sitting right now, I have this kind of triangular base, a very solid base for my body to be held in. And you can see that my knees are close to the ground, and I'm kind of, I'm in a stable position. And the pelvis is turned forward so the back can be straight. And I can kind of hold myself up without putting forth any effort. So I can have this balanced, calm, attentive mind. And I can also rest in this position. When you're beginning to practice meditation, even to take a mindful breath is difficult. So it's not so much, oh, I need to be sitting in a yoga position. I need to put on a robe. When you're laying down, do some mindful breathing. Focus on your breathing. When you're taking a shower, when you're taking a bath, do some mindful breathing. When you're walking, do some mindful breathing. Really bring the mind home to the body. Just breathe. But as you get more invested, as you find that, oh, I'm actually interested in meditation, you may find that. As that happens, then you can begin to get into meditation posture, learning about posture, learning about some of the stretches that support posture. As Westerners, people who are coming from the West, we're very conditioned. Our bodies are conditioned to sit in chairs. So sitting on the ground can be difficult for many of us. And so we can practice meditation sitting in a chair as well. But when we begin, you don't need to worry about posture so much. It's more just giving it a go every now and again to focus on our breathing. And then as time goes by, if we choose to invest in meditation more and more, then we can learn more about posture. And I'm happy to help anyone in finding resources for posture, people who want to learn more about posture. Okay, and I did want to share something here from HB sharing an experience. Today I realized I've been neglecting the breath and the body. Focusing on the body and the sensations today filled me with so much joy and pleasure that I couldn't stop smiling. So this is something that someone just shared in the YouTube chat. So this practice, this process of beginning to give attention to give care to, awareness to our body, our breath in this moment, it's not just that like we can begin to feel a little bit more calm, or we can have, a spiritual experience. The richness, the vividness, the expansiveness that meditation, that taking care of our body can bring to our lives, giving attention to our breath and to our body. It's this joy that we just can't put into words. There's so much richness in the body, in the breath. And so one of the joys of meditation is learning about that, beginning to give attention to our body, beginning to give attention to our breath. And when we experience that we can have this joy and this peace, not from outside things or from outside people, but from ourselves, from our own body in this present moment. That's a really empowering realization, empowering, and also supports us as individuals to be individuals in the world that aren't dependent upon other people, that aren't dependent upon outside situations. So that's something we can learn through meditation very directly. And it's very much so the point of meditation in many cases. And another quick question that came through was, how do I stop my foot from going to sleep when I meditate? And is it normal that it goes to sleep? It's totally and completely normal that we have pains, aches, that the foot goes to sleep or the leg falls asleep when we're practicing meditation. It's just something that happens. And over time, as we learn more about posture, as we maybe do some stretching and these kinds of things, we eventually we can find positions to hold our bodies um, in which our legs aren't necessarily falling asleep so quickly. Okay, so we are continuing with the Q&A. I hope uh, anyone who's taking some time for me to get to your question, I hope that you can be patient and I'll be able to get to your question. So yeah, this is my preferred position, and this is called half lotus meditation position, meditation posture. This is my preferred posture that I usually sit in. Storm is asking, how are you so calm? So I'll tell you, Storm, it's a process, and I've really had to do a lot of work embracing my suffering, embracing my anxiety and my fear, and this process of turning my attention inward, embracing myself, confronting myself, my mind, my sufferings, the bad things that I've done, or the unskillful things that I've done that have caused suffering for myself and for other people. I've had to turn my attention towards those things again and again and again and again over many years. And so I've learned to be compassionate with myself. So even if I'm a little bit uncomfortable, even if I'm not in a perfect situation, I feel that there's this access to a little bit of peace. And when we start to see that glimmer of peace, that little bit of peace that can go along with our breath, our awareness of having a body, just being here now, that peace can kind of open up over time when we begin to give our attention to it, when we begin to work on it, to embrace it. Okay, so next question here, coming from Callan PvP. What are the benefits of daily meditation? So in the simplest sense, we can say that some of the benefits of daily meditation are increased concentration and increased relaxation. That's usually what we're working with, and doing a meditative practice can give us this sense of resourcefulness internally that we may not otherwise have. We can get into these mindsets of really feeling that we can only be happy or only have good experiences from getting something outside of ourselves. Or we can only be happy, we can only be at peace by avoiding something. And when we practice meditation, we can learn that it's possible to kind of be okay with pain. It's possible to kind of be okay with a pleasurable experience, not grabbing onto it and trying to make it last forever, but just having a pleasurable experience and being okay with that, being calm about that, a balance. And the same with neutral experience. We often have a neutral experience. It's not pleasurable. It's not painful. And so we kind of want to avoid that as well because it's not exciting. In meditation, we can learn that those neutral experiences are also valuable. and that every experience that we have can be a doorway, an entry point into the present, into peace, into learning about ourselves and embracing ourselves. Okay, next question here. Ginger, #1 fan, asking, what do you think of the afterlife? So in Buddhism, as a school of philosophy or as a way of life, we understand that birth and death are happening moment to moment. So there is a rising of sensations happening right now. Maybe you have a thought that comes up and then it dies, it goes away. If you rub your fingers together, there's this kind of coming into being, this birth of sensations that are happening in that point where you're rubbing your fingers together. In the same way, we can say that moment to moment, we are born into pleasurable experiences, pleasurable states. And then at the next moment, we're born into unpleasant experiences. So rather than this fixed idea of an entity that is born sometime in the past, lives a life, and then eventually will die, it's more that moment by moment, birth and death is happening, change is happening on a very fundamental level. Thich Nhat Hanh would say that moment to moment, thousands and thousands of cells in your body are dying. You don't have time to hold funerals for all of them. In the same way, moment to moment, thousands and thousands of cells are being born. You don't have the time to sing happy birthday to each and every one of them. So in Buddhist philosophy, we have a little bit of a different idea about birth and death that's more related to change that's happening in the present moment. And this also relates to, we don't necessarily take for granted or take to be self-evident that there is a fixed version of ourselves. Rather, we would understand that we exist interdependently, interconnected with all other things, all other people, all other experiences. We have this kind of dynamic, changing, interconnected selfhood, if we're talking about a self in this way. Not this kind of fixed self that was born once, will die once. We don't necessarily focus too much on that in Buddhism, in Buddhist philosophy. Okay, so I am noticing that the Q&A channel here is full. So maybe you might want to do something about that. The Q&A channel in the Discord is full. Okay, so Matsui, pianist, is asking, what Buddha do you favor apart from Guanyin? Namo tassa bodhisattva avalovikteshvara, Guanyin, Guanyin, very powerful emanation of compassion, of wisdom. And I certainly favor avalovikteshvara, Guanyin. Outside of that, I like Zen patriarchs, very fresh, spontaneous, cutting through our stories, our ideas. We can kind of get ourselves into this fixed idea of the world. The world is like this, and I'm stuck in it. And I like the kind of Buddha or the kind of wisdom teacher that cuts through the mind, cuts through reality, and presents the flower of wisdom, the flower of compassion, in a very spontaneous, fresh kind of way. Another question here from Ginger. Is the Dalai Lama the literal reincarnation of Buddha? So I'm not sure what what is believed in Tibetan Buddhism, but many people often confuse Tibetan Buddhism with Buddhism as a whole. So Tibetan Buddhism is a very esoteric, kind of mystical, spiritual leaning form of Buddhism that doesn't represent most schools of Buddhism. It has a lot of shamanism and magical thinking that aren't necessarily a part of other schools of Buddhism. So the Dalai Lama, for example, is the head of Tibetan Buddhism. But outside of Tibetan Buddhism, in Chinese Buddhism, uh, Thailand Buddhism, Vietnamese Buddhism, the Dalai Lama is just a very well-regarded monk. He's not the head of Buddhism in general. So I would not say that the Dalai Lama is the literal reincarnation of Buddha, but that may be what Tibetan Buddhists believe. I'm not sure. Okay, so we have another question here from Rio. Is there a set amount of times you should meditate, a week or a day, to reach the best result, or is it different for everyone? First and foremost, meditation is something that you have to be willing to get involved with. It's something that's more subtle than just working out your bicep. You know, you pick up a heavy weight again and again and again, and you train your muscle, and your muscle grows. Meditation is something that takes a lot of heart. It takes a lot of sincerity, a lot of interest. So rather than trying to force yourself to do meditation a certain amount of times during the day or during the week, just beginning to get involved with mindful breathing, taking a few mindful breaths throughout the day. And if you really want to get into a meditation practice, you're welcome to reach out to me. You're welcome to look into Buddhism or schools of meditation. But you could start with just 5 minutes a day, where you set aside 5 minutes to lay down, or when you're in the shower, to just focus on your breathing for 5 minutes. So one of the things you could do is, when you are feeling somewhat relaxed, if you, let's say you want to begin doing a meditation practice, it's something you want to try out. When you have, so you find that you're a little bit relaxed and calmed down, maybe it's after you take a shower at the end of the day, maybe it's when you wake up, maybe it's when you get home from school, or when you finish exercising. When you find that you have just a little bit of calm and a little bit of relaxation, you can sit down, lay down slowly, whatever it is, and you can set a timer for 5 minutes on your phone and make that commitment to just focus, simple as this, just focus on your breath for that 5 minutes. And of course, you'll be thinking, you'll get distracted, but you're prioritizing just focusing on your breath. And so doing it as an exercise for 5 minutes when you're somewhat relaxed. So you set that timer, and then you focus on your breath for that 5 minutes. When the timer goes off, if you're ready to be finished, great. Pat yourself on the back. 5 minutes of meditation a day, or doing that regularly, is a really incredible practice. A great exercise to get involved with, for sure. But you may find that sometimes when you're doing this 5-minute meditation, the timer is going to go off, and you'd like to continue following your breath. So you can try that as well. But 5 minutes a day is definitely a wonderful way to do it. Wonderful way to practice meditation and to get started with it. Callan PVP asking, does meditation help you with recovery? Muscle soreness, for example, or joint pain? And also, Anyone who's watching on the YouTube, on the live YouTube, you're welcome to ask questions there in the live chat as well. Feel free to ask questions and I'll try to answer them. But Callan PvP asking, does meditation help you with recovery, muscle soreness, for example, or joint pain? I'd say that if you're practicing meditation in a way where it's helping you to relax, then it would be helpful in recovery because you're going into a relaxed, rejuvenative, kind of peaceful state. So if you're anxious, if you're tense, then recovery is going to take longer. Whereas if you're relaxed, you're open, the energy is flowing, so to speak, that's going to probably help with recovery. And Mickey asking, what does inner peace mean to you? Mickey, I would say that what inner peace means to me is being gentle and compassionate in difficult situations. Being able to remember gentleness, to remember compassion, this kind of constant, potent relevance of compassion in whatever my experience is. Maybe I mess up, I make a mistake, and then I've got to, I suffer. When we make mistakes, we have maybe some more suffering. So at that moment, being able to remember gentleness, being able to remember being patient with myself, being kind to myself, and showing up to myself in that kind of way, putting aside perfection. I don't care. Perfection, I don't really care. I just want to be kind to myself and gentle to myself. So being able to remember that, that's what peace means to me. That's what inner peace means to me. Shark Z is asking, are you required to go bald to become a monk? Basically, yeah. It's a part of the procedure. It's a part of the ordination process in becoming a monk is shaving the head. But if you want to become a Buddhist monk, it's probably because you're a Buddhist and you want to become a monk. So shaving your head is usually part of that. Lone is asking, what does patience, endurance mean to a monk's? And I'm also noticing that in the Discord, people are no longer able to ask questions in the Q&A. So maybe they could join the YouTube and ask questions on the YouTube live chat, or if we can open it up on the Discord, I don't know. But we're on the last question here on the Discord, which is Lone asking, what does patience, endurance mean to a monk's way? Does it differentiate to inner peace? Or is it different from inner peace? So patience and endurance, we could say, is right at the heart of what it means to live like a monk or to be a monk. Being patient with inevitable difficulties, sufferings, problems that come up, being patient with them and not just reacting, not trying to get rid of problems, to get rid of suffering, because suffering happens. So being patient. And as we go further and further in the practice of meditation, and trying to bring peace into all aspects of our lives, we really have to have this quality of endurance to get through, to continue going instead of, saying, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be a meditator anymore. I don't want to live ethically anymore for whatever excuse. I don't want to be kind anymore to myself because this is too difficult, because I'm too bad, I'm too wrong. Having that endurance to get through those moments and to continue coming back to compassion, continue coming back to mindfulness, to being present, to coming back to the body and the present moment. And I wouldn't say that it's different from inner peace. It's really a part of inner peace. It's an aspect of inner peace. Having this patience and endurance. And so anyone who's in the Q&A in the Discord, if you want to ask another question in the questions channel, welcome to do so. And we have some questions here in the YouTube. Dolo Jojo is asking, are monks vegan? Some monks are vegan. We would say traditional monks in Theravada Buddhism, monks who only survive on the donations of others, would be considered freegan. So not buying or participating in any kind of animal exploitation, but if they are donated food, then they will eat it, but not asking for a particular kind of food. So the Buddha, for example, we would say that the Buddha is a freegan, was a freegan, meaning that he, without preference or without any kind of, just representing that he liked meat or liked certain flavors, he just accepted what was offered to him. And so freeganism in that way is actually a form of veganism. So some monks are vegan, more in Buddhism in China, in Vietnam, in Taiwan. The temples there will be vegetarian, pretty strictly vegetarian. And we have a question here from Mokes Graphics. Hello, do you have a favorite koan? Favorite koan? Who is asking the question? Would be my favorite koan. Who is asking the question? Who is the one that questions? Okay, my goodness, we've got more questions here coming in. From Ginger is a bully in the Discord. How can I be more spiritually connected to life? Okay, one moment here. Okay, so becoming sorry about that. Becoming spiritually connected to life. I would say definitely focusing on ethics, focusing on morality. So noticing those things that we do that bring distress, anxiety, suffering, guilt into our lives, really noticing and recognizing those kind of behaviors and beginning to step away from them. We can't just become perfect overnight, but as we recognize certain actions and certain behaviors and how they affect us in a way that doesn't support peace, we can begin to set our intention to step away from them. So that's this kind of passive morality, passive ethics. And then on the other hand, we start doing good deeds. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be cleaning a room. It can be cleaning a toilet. It can be cleaning your friend's toilet or cleaning your friend's room. It can be volunteering, working with kids. It can be giving candy to kids. That's something that I do here in my village. I just give candy to kids. And it's kind of a way of doing good deeds. I know everyone can't do that kind of practice, but avoiding those unskillful activities and doing good deeds, making a real intention to start actively doing good deeds, acting out in good ways, wholesome ways. And in this way, we understand that meditation is one of the highest good deeds, or the highest good deed. So avoiding those unskillful activities, doing good deeds, helping others, and we can start practicing meditation, just mindfulness, just being present with our body, with our breath throughout the day. I would say that's a good way to establish ourselves in living a more spiritual life. So thank you for your question, Ginger. Stefan is asking, what is the purpose of monks and nuns, and what are they supposed to do? So monks and nuns are representatives of Buddhism. They are there to represent ethics, morality, meditation, the practice, the methods of meditation, and to express the wisdom that comes from living morally, living ethically, and practicing meditation. And so monks and nuns take steps away from the material life, the life of developing wealth, right? You get a job, you get a house, you get a car, kind of build normal people, householders, they build material wealth. The job, the responsibility of monks, female monks, and male monks is to cultivate spiritual wealth, to become compassionate millionaires, to become gentle millionaires of gentleness, to become CEOs of patience, to become small business owners of forgiveness and generosity, and also to become skillful in understanding their minds, being able to develop a concentration so we can kind of see into the nature of things, not our attached views or all of our material responsibilities, but rather turning that attention inward, and we can begin to gain insight into how the body works, how the mind works on an experiential level. So almost a kind of moral, ethical philosophers, or philosophers of meditation and of the mind. And so to support other people in those benefits, to spreading the wealth of compassion, spreading the wealth of insight into the nature of mind, how the mind works. So I'll take a moment here to light a stick of incense, do some mindful breathing. I want to say thank you to everyone who's asking questions and who is participating. Really happy to be here and hosting this event. And I also want to give a special thank you to Quentin, who invited me to host this event on his Discord server, on his community. And so inspired me to be live here on YouTube. So I want to say thank you to Quentin for inviting me to facilitate this meeting for his community and being able to offer it to the wider community as well. So the next question from Rio is, would you say self-care is more important than caring for others? Which one do you think is more important? What I would say for that, related to that, and this is something that's often alive for many people who go out of their way to help others, caring for others, firstly, is caring for yourself. There's no way to get around that. When we learn to be compassionate, gentle, caring to ourselves, to really take care of ourselves, that's how we can take care of other people. And when we take care of other people, we're also taking care of ourselves. But these two aspects of it are inclusive. So if you're inclusive to one another, so if you're taking care of other people to the effect where you're not taking care of yourself, then you're also limiting your ability, at least in a very real sense, very basic sense, you're limiting your ability to really take care of other people. So they go together. When we take care of ourselves, when we really take care of ourselves, we're fundamentally taking care of other people, but also very practically, we're enabling ourselves to more fully take care of other people. And when we find that we are, quote unquote, taking care of other people to an extent that it is harming ourselves, we can clearly identify that that is not the best way to take care of other people. But also, we need to start with taking care of ourselves. So having the balance between those two is definitely important. Stefan asking, why do Buddhist monks and nuns wear a yellow robe? It's a matter of cultural tradition, and over time, there's lots of different styles of robe that have come up. This is basically the most traditional style that we have in Buddhism. I'm a very traditional kind of monk, but there's all kinds of outfits and different robes that we wear as monks. So it just depends on the country, the tradition, the culture that of Buddhism that the monks exist within. And I believe, finally, let me check if there's any questions elsewhere. They may be on our final question. Let's see here. Okay, yes, so I think this will be our final question, unless anyone else has a final question that they want to share. And if you do, feel free. You can share your question. Rio asking, does meditation help you get through hardships in life? Meditation can be a very helpful tool and a very helpful way of learning about ourselves and developing our ability to get through hardships in life. But it starts with ethics, at least from a Buddhist perspective. It starts with a foundation of living skillfully. So noticing those actions that you take that cause suffering to others or that cause suffering, anxiety, fear, depression to yourselves, to ourselves, noticing those things and avoiding them. And then also doing good deeds, doing things that are wholesome, that are helpful, that are sincere, doing good deeds, practicing non-attachment. So doing good deeds without attachment to outcome, and also avoiding those things that we know just don't really bring us peace in the bigger picture. So it starts with that. And then from that, we can move on to doing more introspective, meditative practices. And that can help us get a better understanding of our mind and our body and the relationship between those two, or that one, and our environment, our external world and experience. And finally, we'll take this to be the last question. I have heard that there are no more Buddhist nuns. Is this true? This is not true. There are many, many female monks, Buddhist nuns in the world, hundreds of thousands, we can say. The Buddha taught that men and women can both become monks, and that continues to this day. So I want to say thank you so much to everyone for joining in this beginner's class introduction to meditation. Thank you for all the questions, and I hope that you got some benefit and found this experience to be at least somewhat, even if just a little bit, enlightening and rewarding. I look forward to having future interactions, and I definitely want this to be an invitation and an introduction rather than just a one-time thing. So if you're interested in getting more involved with meditation, becoming a meditator, or if you're curious about Buddhism, welcome to check out my YouTube channel. And if you're really interested, you can also check out the Discord. And all that is linked on the YouTube. So thank you everyone so much for joining. I wish that you will be happy, be well, be peaceful. And I'll just offer a brief bit of Buddhist chanting to close our session together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gesami. Dhammam saranam gesami. Sangham saranam gesami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you everyone for attending. Hope to see you again. That's the end of our meeting together.